Here we have an example of my news portal. I want to walk through and show you how I've created access to tens of different news sites and organized them into different groups for easy access. So I pin my news sites up on top in what we call page tabs. And while I go through this, I also want you to pay attention to how each one of these news papers is covering news and what news they're covering. So the first one is New York Times, and then we are going to move over to the Washington Post. Um, so they're leading with different types of stories over here. Um, and then I have BBC, The Guardian, and LA Times. And I have organized these under a group called Elite Media. So when I switch over, I have another set of news sites for my European news sources, France 24, Euronews, um, The Independent, and you can see that most of these newspapers are all leading with this tragedy in Manchester, England. And then I have my next group is my Middle East group, and here this is Al Arabiya, and all of a sudden the focus of the news changes. They're talking about war and Iraq and Yemen, and then we go over to Haaretz, and they're talking about issues that matter to Israel. Um, Going back to Al Jazeera, like we said before, this seems to be more in the mainstream media and covering the same kind of topics that everybody else is covering. Going over to my Asia Pacific group. This is the Korea Times, Japan Times. These are the China daily news sources. So you can see how easy it is for me to manage access to tens of different news sources and easily navigate between them. The other important feature of this program is that I can open up temporary pages down below. And these temporary pages belong to the active page. So if I now go over to Times of India, you see that that page is not there. It's very important when you are doing your research or navigating between different sources to always know where everything is. And when you set up your portal, it's very easy for you then to remember how to navigate between your news sources. I have other groups that, for example, connect me to different types of research sites and search engines that are not mainstream Google or Bing search engines. They're semantic type search engines. I have another group where I actually have directly connected to feeds on New York Times and some of the other news sources, and you can see over here I can very quickly refresh them and look at all the different headlines in one place. If I want to open them, I just double click on a headline and it opens it up for me. In another group over here, I have a tab that connects me to Feedly, which is an online feed source. I can basically set up different kinds of feeds to different magazines and access them all here in one place. Here's an aggregator that gives me access and basically tells me what's popular on the internet because these are very algorithmic, these news sources, and they basically show you the most popular news stories that are trending on the internet. So This is the whole concept of KBrowser, which makes it really easy for you to integrate access to your news sources and organize them the way that you work. In the next video and next section, we are going to show you how you can curate information with KBrowser.